Stop time.
Thank you. I call the Patton Township Board of Supervisors meeting on Wednesday, August 21st, 2024 at 5:30 to order. We welcome all, especially new Patton Township residents, to the Patton Township community, a place for all. As you are able, please join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next is announcements. Amy, are there any announcements?
There are not.
All right.
I'd actually
Announcements,
one.
Supervisor Whitman.
This is where I can look.
Yep.
Yeah, so I got an announcement about an event coming up a week from tonight. It is it's the 51st, it's the commemoration of the March on Washington in 1963, so this would be the 51st.
You want to speak on the mic a little bit?
Oh, I'm so sorry, yeah. So it's the commemorative March on Washington. There'll be a little bit of an event at the beginning. There'll be a little bit of a theatrical reenactment, some words by the mayor, Ezra Naines, and then a speaker, Gary Abdullah, perhaps, or one of the other elders in the Black community. But after that, so that would be the initial part of the program, starts at 5. Preceding that, or following that program, will be actually a bit of a workshop for elected officials and any other community members who will be listening to 2 or 3 presentations from groups that are actively working on diversity, equity, inclusion programs in the community, and seeking input from other community members as well as elected officials on ways to move forward. And I know that Patton Township has already taken some initiative, and Chief Jolly, if it's all right with you, sometime this week, I hope to give you a call and just review with you the steps that the police department has taken, I know especially in the hiring and other things, so to get more up to date on that. So I make the announcement to welcome people to come to the celebration part initially at 5 o'clock, and then those who are interested in participating in the process of building a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community to stay on for the latter part of the event. So it's from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock next Wednesday, August 28th.
Betsy, where is that again?
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's at Martin Luther King Plaza, downtown at State College.
And that's at 5?
I thought y'all could read my mind. It's from 5 to 7.
Okay.
Apologies. Thank you for letting me make that announcement.
Thank you, Supervisor Whitman, for keeping us abreast on that. Next on the agenda is additions to the posted agenda. Are there any additional items to be added to the posted agenda at this time?
No.
All right. Next is public comments. Residents, taxpayers may address the board on issues of interest to the township. Comments related to a specific agenda item should be deferred until that point of the meeting. If you are attending on Zoom, please use the raised hand feature on the Zoom application and wait for the chair to indicate it is your opportunity to speak. If you are attending in person, please approach the podium and wait for the chair to indicate it is your opportunity to speak. Are there any public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person? Are there any public comments at this time?
No.
All right, seeing none. Next on the agenda is presentations and public hearing. The introduction of Officer Michael Friend. Chief Jolly will introduce the newest Patton Township police officer. Chief?
All right, thank you very much. Michael, just want to stand there. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce you to our newest officer, Michael Friend. Michael was hired by the Patton Township Police Department on June 24th of this year. He is originally from Export, PA, in Allegheny County, so over towards Pittsburgh, if you're not familiar. But after graduating in high school, he went on to pursue a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He also has a minor in computer science from the University of Pittsburgh. He began working his law enforcement career at a few different agencies outside of Pittsburgh, then was hired by Penn State University Police Department, where he worked for about 2 years before coming to us. So we're happy to have him on board with us now. In addition, though, to serving our community as a police officer, Michael also volunteers with the Alpha Fire Company. So he's helping out our community in many different ways as a first responder. Michael's also a very avid photographer, which is a skill that I'm sure over his course of employment with Patton Township we will put to use in many, many different ways that we can. So, again, my pleasure to introduce you to Officer Michael Fred.
Welcome. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is Village at Penn State Developers Agreement. Amy, I think this is you, or is that Michelle?
I will take this.
All right.
So at last month's meeting, you approved a corrective action plan for phases 9, 10, and 16 at the Village at Penn State. If you remember, this plan amended the setbacks for several lots within these phases because the setbacks were not correct for the front setback for the garages, were incorrectly set, so that's what we corrected. So as part of the process to amend that plan, the developer agreed to enter into an agreement with the township that sets forth safeguards against future issues, which I know is something that Supervisor Magruder brought up last month. It also seeks to memorialize outstanding issues within the development, including sureties for various public improvements, road dedication, and inspection requirements. The agreement was drafted by our township solicitor and reviewed by the Developers Council. All have agreed that it's ready for action, so if you're comfortable and you want to approve this evening, then we can go ahead and record those corrective action plans that you approved last month.
Okay. If the board doesn't have any more questions or comments, can I get a motion to approve the Village at Penn State?
I have a very quick question.
Oh, okay.
And it's
Supervisor Whitman?
more, I guess, procedural or an overall explanation of this new agreement. So the section, I guess it's section 2, which is the incorporation of recitals. Oh, I'm looking at whatever the number is.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that, I read through the whole agreement, but I didn't know all of the details, but I'm assuming that the part that was the incorporation of recitals was the only part of the original agreement that was added to it, or not? There are other.
Yeah, this is the original agreement. There was no other agreement on this.
But we added the incorporation of recitals, so we made specific mention of.
I defer to the solicitor.
The recitals are the whereas clauses that precede the sections that describe what's going on.
Right, yes.
We're incorporating them into this agreement.
I see what you're saying,
If
okay.
you don't say that, then those are considered superfluous as opposed to being part of the agreement.
Thank you for that. So, yeah, it was more just a procedural thing for me. Thank you so much for that. Okay. I don't have any questions other than that.
Okay, the explanation was from our solicitor, Betsy Dupree, so it's on record. Again, can I get a motion to approve the Village at Penn State Developers Agreement?
I'll move. So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? The motion passes. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is public safety. Chief Jolly will review the monthly report. Chief, you're on.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. July was another busy month for the police department. In your packet, you'll notice that we stopped 334 vehicles, wrote 34 citations, 3 parking tickets, and handled 26 criminal arrests. Our bike patrol was pretty busy, rode 39 miles, did 72 business checks, and handled 3 incidents. Under department notes, a 24-year-old male was arrested for possessing drug paraphernalia. The male was stopped for speeding, and upon making contact, the officer smelled the odor of marijuana. The officer recovered paraphernalia from the vehicle which had previously been used to ingest marijuana. A 41-year-old male was arrested for strangulation, simple assault, and harassment, and those charges stem from a domestic dispute between he and his mother. A 66-year-old male was arrested for harassment. That male had entered into a verbal altercation with a male who was totally unknown to him at one of our township businesses. That male who was the aggressor proceeded to punch the victim in the head 2 times. 17 arrests were made for retail theft and 4 for driving under the influence. Our officers were batting 1,000 when it came to warrant service. They served 9 warrants of the 9 that they attempted. And we conducted 6 vacation home checks, and actually have something coming up here very shortly about our vacation home checks. We did not have to use force during any incidents in the month of July, so I'm happy to report that. Under community relations, Officer Bardzell and Detective Salade both installed child safety seats for township residents. Officer Tuskovich participated in the 4th Fest 4th of July parade. Sergeant Schaefer and Officer Snyder assisted with Boys Week out at Center County Camp Cadet. And Officer Snyder and K-9 Graff did a canine demonstration for the boys out at Center County Camp Cadet as well. Under training and department activities, Sergeant Schaefer and Officer Tuskovich attended tactical response team training and also a close quarters combat training. Detective Fedorenko, Officer Tuskovich, and Officer Kaufman attended emergency vehicle operation update training, which they do again every 2 years after the initial 3-day class that we take. Officer Tuskovich attended the annual Pennsylvania School Resource Officer Conference. And then Officer Snyder and Graff completed their 2 days of required monthly training. But then they were also called out 3 times in the month of July. Once to assist the Center County Drug Task Force with a vehicle sniff on a traffic stop. They assisted the State College Police Department with the tracking of a missing person. And then they assisted in a different way, which we're going to see if we can bring this to Center County as well, but over at the Blair County Prison doing drug sweeps of the cells inside the facility. Bittersweet, but Officer Jeff McElrath, after 28 years of dedicated service to our agency, retired. So we've been in contact with him a couple times since he's retired, and he is loving it and out golfing a bunch, enjoying this good weather we've been having here recently. I hosted Big Brother, Big Sister Advisory Committee meeting here at Patton Township. We were trying to talk a little bit about getting law enforcement more engaged in the Big Brother, Big Sister program in different ways, maybe bringing littles here or having them come tours the different stations. So just kind of kicking around some different ideas. I've actually really enjoyed being on that advisory committee though. I attended the Children's Advocacy Center Advisory Committee meeting, Center County Emergency Radio Advisory Committee meeting, a Humane Officer meeting, and then the Center County Chiefs of Police meeting. I think our board probably realizes and recognizes, I think, very highly of the officers that we have. I think we have a fantastic group of officers and talk a lot about the sworn personnel. But not always about our civilian support staff and the non-sworn. But whenever someone does something above and beyond in the police department, we try to recognize them and their efforts. And usually that comes in the form of a performance report that you see frequently in my board reports. And this one is for our police secretary, Mary Albright. So I'd like to read what was written here about her by Sergeant Serpanko. On July 2nd of 24, Police Secretary Albright was conducting routine report reviews and checked a vehicle entry that had been included on a traffic stop report from the previous evening. While doing so, she found that the vehicle was mentioned in a retail theft report from January 2024. There were surveillance photos of the suspect from that theft incident, but he was never identified. Police Secretary Albright brought this to the attention of the detective and to the officer who conducted the traffic stop, and they were able to confirm that the driver of the traffic stop was indeed the theft suspect as well. So the detective, after a little bit further investigation, did subsequently file criminal charges against the suspect. So it was due to the thorough work of Police Secretary Albright that the suspect in an inactive case was identified and held accountable for their actions. So, it just, again, shows how great of a team we have, not just, again, the officers that are out on the street our detectives
That's so cool.
and our secretaries, the non-sworn civilian personnel, support personnel we have. Everybody is just really works at the highest caliber, and we work really well together. So I couldn't be prouder of that effort, and then of the sergeant taking the time to make sure we recognize the civilian staff as well. So very happy about that. I mentioned about vacation home checks a little bit earlier. We got a really nice note from an individual who was away on vacation. When they returned, they sent us this quick note mainly to Officer Sunderland. But he stopped and did a vacation home check at their home while they were away and noticed something that appeared to be out of place. So he made contact with the homeowners, and they were able to rectify that situation over the phone and make sure everything was secured properly. So we're very appreciative of the efforts. I really like their last line here. It says, "We're happy to live in a community with such a strong police department." But Officer Sunderland looked at it as just doing his job, but they really appreciated the fact that they could feel secure, knowing that we were kind of keeping an eye on their home while they were away. So please, always, if you're going away for any extended time period, fill out the vacation home check form, and we'll keep an eye on your property while you're away. So, I do have a photo included of Officer McElrath at his retirement. So like I said, 28 years of dedicated service to our department and to our community. He did do 5 years in Berwick before coming here as well, so about 33 years of police service in all. And Officer Friend, who you just met this evening, is his replacement. So out with the old and with the new, I guess you could say. So, yeah. Lastly, we have our record list of calls for service. We had a total of 404 calls for the month of July. That's up from the 340 that we handled in June. 57 of the 404 calls were health and safety EMS assists, and 55 were traffic related. Lastly, just real quickly, I want to mention our safety fair. So it's coming up on September 14th, Saturday, September 14th. We do have one meeting, I think, before that in September. I just want to put that on everybody's radar. It's going to be at the parking lot between Target and Kohl's and Colony Boulevard, September 14th from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Pretty much the normal people that are always at the fair will be there. We'll bounce houses, police, fire, EMS. Many of the business, we have huge business support from the Happy Valley Business Association. So really a fantastic event. If you're in town and have kids, it'd be young or young at heart, doesn't matter. We love having everybody there. It's a great opportunity though for us to engage our community. We'll have Graf there, so you get to meet Graf if you haven't met Graf yet. But we're really excited about that. It's a 22nd annual, and we're really proud of that event. So just wanted to mention that, and that completes my report.
Chief and Amy, can we also reach out to Penn Highland Hospital since it's in the vicinity, and this would be their first year of knowing about the safety fair?
Yeah, we can do that.
Make sure
Certainly.
maybe they would like to donate something or just be a part of this. And Chief, I have a question. There were a lot of listings of welfare checks. Were they finding fraudulent welfare checks? Because there's quite a few on here.
No, that's actually checking the welfare of an individual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, officers, for doing that, because there were a lot this
Yes.
month.
Yeah, there was quite a few this month. You're right. Yep.
Any other questions from the board for Chief? Chief continues to extend the board's appreciation to our officers, to your staff, and to you for your leadership.
Thank you.
All right. Supervisor Whitman.
Yes, if we're reaching out to Penn Highlands, we're also reaching out to Geisinger? Or has Geisinger been,
It was
are
just,
they normally reached out to in this, for this event?
So
And Mount Whitney?
no, she was saying that because it's in their area.
I'm sorry?
She was saying that because it's in the area that their Penn
It's right
Highlands
next to
is.
them. The safety fair is
It
basically
is right
next to
them,
their
right,
property.
But I just want to make sure that we're being.
We're not
engineering.
isolating. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so generally, the business community takes care of anything that's non-first responder related. So Brad Tuskovich, who's our community relations officer and SRO here, does all the coordination for all the first responders. And then Matt Nabby, who's the president of the Happy Valley Business Association, generally is the one who invites or takes care of the non-first responder side of it. So I'll be happy to reach out to him and just let him know, that maybe
Just
they
a
should-
reminder,
you could
just a reminder.
widen the net, but, the Happy Valley Business Association is open to any business that is willing or wants to come participate. Generally, they meet here quarterly, so, it is an organization that, it used to just be Patton Township, but we tried to open it up
Great.
to Happy Valley.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
including pretty much the whole center region. But I'll let Matt know that maybe
Okay.
we should consider inviting some of the bigger healthcare facilities in the township.
Yeah, that's great. And certainly the hospitals
Yeah.
have a major role to play in community health and safety. So it might be just good in general to reach out to them.
Thank you, Supervisor Baker. All right, Chief, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is Public Works. There are no items. Next is Engineering, Planning, and Zoning. Planning Commission report. The Planning Commission only meeting was August. It was part of a joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors, so there will be no report at tonight's meeting. The Planning Commission meets again on September the 9th.
Yep.
All right. Next on the agenda is a proposed revision of the Joint Pollution Reduction Plan. I think that is Engineer Michelle Merrill, or,
Yes.
all right?
The last time I attended the Board of Supervisors meeting, we talked about our MS4 requirements, municipal separate storm sewer system requirements at the township, and we talked briefly about the pollutant reduction plan, the PRP. We are at a point where the township and our partner municipalities need to make some minor revisions to that PRP. And that's not totally unexpected for a plan that's 5 years in age, and sometimes things change, projects change, priorities change, maybe you couldn't get a permit, maybe you couldn't get a landowner agreement. So there are some minor touch-ups to that plan being proposed. In Patton Township, our changes are that we are not going to make some modifications to an existing stormwater basin that was listed in that plan. The reason being that basin was identified as a wetland area, so we won't be able to make those changes, but we're still fine. We still have more than enough pollution reduction credits in our Meeks Lane stream restoration project. And we've also added a very broad statement in there that allows us to partner with other municipalities should we run into trouble and should we need to purchase credits or PRP credits from another municipality. We don't anticipate that in any way, but all of the partner municipalities have added that statement to their PRP commitment, just so if we needed to, as we come down to the wire for June 30th of next year, that we were covered. So we do have some very minor changes to make. As part of that process, those changes need to be advertised in a local newspaper. They were in the Center Daily Times approximately 2 weeks ago on Sunday. We also have to hold a public hearing, which will be September 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. at College Township. And then in September, after we have received public comments, addressed any of those comments, we'll be back asking the Board of Supervisors to pass a resolution adopting the revisions to the PRP.
Okay. Any questions from the board at this time? For Michelle? Oh, you're good. All right, thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
All right, next on the agenda is administration, a mid-year financial report, and I do believe that's Director of Finance, Larry Pager. Larry?
I do believe that's who it is. It's going to be pretty easy. As you know, every year at this time of the year, I do it at June 30th. I do a mid-year report where I compare where we're trending for the year versus the budget. So obviously, it's not completely accurate, it's just a trend analysis. So the way we are trending right now is it looks like our revenues are 2% under budget, but to offset that, our expenditures are also 3% under budget. So, with those two, I'm not very concerned about, you know, not being able to maintain our fund balance. The revenues, the real estate taxes tracking 2% under budget, and the transfer taxes tracking 15% under budget. Those are the two big items that are causing us to be 2% under budget for total revenues. There's no real one item in expenditures. It's kind of like mixed. It's not payroll, and it's not benefits. Those are pretty much tracking on budget, but everything else seems to be tracking below budget. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Okay,
On the report.
any questions from the board, knowing Supervisor Magruder?
Yeah, just a curiosity of the taxes, why we have it.
I think we were a little aggressive. We took the number from so when I look at the trend, I look at the trend over 8 years. So we normally have 97% of our taxes in by June 30th. If that's the average over 8 years, then that's what I use. What probably happened with the additional development and stuff like that is we're probably trending at 95, and we might at the end of the year end up at 100% of the real estate tax. It's just the trends right now compared to history looks like we're tracking behind, but it could catch itself up in the last 6 months of the year.
Okay.
But as long as we maintain that, we know that we're trending below our revenue, that we adjust we don't trend above in our expenditures, you know, that we offset the two, then we will be okay.
Supervisor Whitman, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have again, just for my own knowledge, the question about the real estate transfer tax.
So the real estate transfer tax,
Sales are down, is that, interest rates are high?
well,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it is. So when we do the budget, transfer tax, as I said in the budget, in all the 9 years I've been here and done a budget, it's very hard to budget that number because we don't know what's going to sell and what's not going to sell. And as a matter of fact, one year in November, 2 apartment complexes sold.
Wow.
And we ended up getting $1 million extra in real estate taxes that wasn't budgeted for. So I'm hoping that 2 apartments,
Going out there and sell your stuff, y'all.
anybody that wants to make some offers on those apartments. But, so you can never tell, but yes, I would assume that, because again, we look at the real estate transfer tax over a number of years to get to the budget. We throw out the low year, we throw out the high year, and we get an average of what it is. So when we budgeted, you know, we budgeted based on an average of what the sales are. And obviously, the sales are down this year because of interest rates
Yeah.
are high.
Okay. A couple other questions, and these are obviously line items, and I know that then within the general category, I look down at the percentage at the end of the year, and there were, most of the percentages are in the 40, 50, 60, so
And it should
halfway
be.
mark.
Should be, because it's a half a year.
Yeah, but something like the Kinber Internet, am I saying that right, it's at 120%, which means that
So what happened,
we're overspending on that, I'm assuming?
that's correct.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about BlackBerry? So what happened with Kimber,
Uh-oh.
okay, is we moved based on a recommendation from Jeff Locke.
Yeah,
We moved from Kimber to Black Bear, okay, Black Bear Fiber, out of Center Hall, I
Yeah,
think they're in.
somewhere in town.
You could stop by and see them at the Grange Fair, because I saw them there the other night. I did not stop by and talk to them because they are very expensive compared to Kimber.
Okay.
They're much faster than Kimber was. We have a much faster internet in this building, but they're also more expensive.
Okay.
And we neglected to catch that in the budget, but also it's not a big number.
Okay, great. So the percentages of a rather
It's
small number.
it's a high percentage of a small number.
Sounds good.
Okay?
So workman's comp was also high? Was that just an incident that occurred in the first half of the year? And-
No, that one.
Sophie.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right, that's Sophie. So when Sophie moved to Mississippi,
Gotcha.
we had to buy an extra worker, obviously workers' comp is by state.
Oh,
So all of our workers' comp was Pennsylvania workers' comp, of which we had a history, so our workers' comp's not very high. When Sophie moved to Mississippi, we had to get Mississippi workers' comp. We don't have a history
okay.
in Mississippi.
Yeah.
So what will happen is we'll pay high for like a couple years, and then as they get a history that Sophie's not gonna make any claims, that number will come down.
Gotcha.
And we'll
Makes
get some
sense.
refunds.
Okay. And then the last two questions, I noticed that there were two line items for Half Moon. One was for the zoning officer.
Yes.
And I know that we're not doing
Yeah.
that
We're not
anymore,
doing
so
that
that was just a carryover, I'm assuming.
Yes.
But one was for road maintenance. So
Yeah,
do we
so
have an
we
agreement with
road
Half Moon where we
maintenance or
do some of their maintenance?
No, you don't do anything for half.
We stopped.
We stopped that, okay. Just curious.
We stopped doing everything for Half Moon, so.
Yeah.
But the numbers were in the budget. at that
Okay.
point.
Yep.
I just live there.
We aren't maintaining her road. No matter how much she cries and whines, we're not going over there.
Got it. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you. That was way cool. Thank you.
Any other
But
questions?
and also, those numbers that you're talking about, Half Moon, workers' comp, Kimber, they're all very small in comparison with the overall budget, so.
Yeah, that's the curse or blessing of
Right.
percents.
If we were talking about, expenditures in payroll, like in wages, that's a very big number for us when you look at wages across all the departments.
Yeah. But interesting that the mid-year report is reported in terms of percentages, and the end-of-year report is hard dollars.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I look at dollars
I know you do. Yes, I know you do.
in the mid-year.
Okay.
Okay, any other
Thank you very
questions
much.
for, I'm sorry, Supervisor Whitman, no, you finished?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Larry at this time? Seeing none. Larry, thank you, unless you have anything else.
Nope.
All right, next on the agenda is the board input for the 2025-2029 capital improvement plan. Amy, I think this is you.
Yeah, so we just put this on because apparently Larry and I have to start thinking about the budget now. So if you have anything you would like us to think about for the capital improvement plan, if you want to send that over to Larry or I, we will start working on that and getting numbers together, and we'll get a draft together. This will appear on the next couple of agendas for you, just as a reminder in case you want to think about anything and send us any suggestions.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there any item or items on the consent agenda?
Actually, you skipped the delegate to the annual summit.
All right, missing that. All right, thank you. Am I missing that one? All right, thank you. The wonderful appointment for the delegate at the PML Annual Summit. All right.
I think Sutan wants it.
Amy, you want to?
I think Sutan wants it.
Volunteering.
He wants to vote.
Whoa, are you?
I'm going.
All right,
Wait,
Right
wait,
there.
wait. Do I have to like do something extra?
All you have to do is, there are two meetings. You have to go to the resolutions meeting, which is on October 11th at 1:30, and then the annual business meeting, which is Saturday morning, I think it's Saturday morning, yeah, at 9:30. I will make sure you're there, because I have to be there as well.
Cool.
See, you should have signed him up.
I wrote him down already.
9:30 in the morning on a Saturday.
I put your name down already. It's already in ink.
Thank you.
11 on Thursday?
1:30 on Thursday.
When are we going down?
1:30 on Friday,
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, 1:30 on Friday, and then 9:30 on Saturday.
You're gonna be there both times.
Everybody's going, so.
And the annual business meeting takes like 10 minutes.
All right, here to do my civic duty.
Signing.
I got him
It's
down.
done. It's done. Thank you very much for your.
Who's our alternate?
Carved in stone.
Can we have an alternate as well?
Pam.
Payback.
Payback. Who's going, first of all?
I'm going.
Everybody's going.
Everybody's going.
Are we all going
Yeah,
Thursday to Sunday?
yeah.
I'm coming back Saturday.
I'm trying to go back Saturday.
It's over Saturday, I mean, it goes.
Basically, it's over Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it spreads through Saturday.
Sunday's just like a get up and have breakfast.
Okay. Sunday, all right.
Susan, are you saying yes as the alternate?
Sure.
Yes.
Ah,
So relaxed.
yes! I love it.
The
Moving
newbies.
right along.
We'll get the newbies involved. I love it.
Do I get a pen or something like that?
I will get you some swag.
You got it, thank you. Thank you.
You'll get a special ribbon that goes on your name.
Yes, you will. You'll get a ribbon.
It will say delegate.
It will say, "I'm cool."
Yeah.
Made of metal, right?
Thank you.
I think it's blue.
We're gonna get you that hard hat. I'm still working on that.
And my bag.
Oh, my God. I want to thank both of you and Sutan and Susan for your volunteerism. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items on this consent agenda?
Betsy had something.
Yeah, I just want to pull the letter. It's
Okay.
item, 8D3.
83.
Do we handle that now, or do we do the consent agenda and then go to the letter?
Why don't you do the consent agenda and then go to the
All
letter?
right. All in favor of approving the consent agenda with the removal of 3D? Can I get a motion?
Yep,
So moved.
Oh,
Second?
second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Consent agenda with the removal of 3D is approved. Do we need to go back to 3D?
Yeah, I think, Betsy, do you want to discuss
Oh,
that?
yeah. So it's just a minor editorial thing, but they mention the Climate Action and Sustainability Committee without really making any reference to why they're mentioning it or why they, in fact, they call it. So I just have a quick editorial change, which I want to read to the board. It's just inserting a phrase. And that, what did I say? It's item 8D3. I thought I had it up, sorry. Yeah, it's actually in paragraph 4. Okay, so paragraph 4, paragraph 4 is explaining about the COG and the townships involved in the COG. And then it goes on to say, it says, so it talks about the 6 townships, and then it says 7 standing committees exist within Center Region COG to address a variety of local issues, programs, and services. Next sentence, the CAS committee is one of those committees comprised of 6 elected municipal officials and is currently overseeing the implementation of the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. The CAP is described in the next paragraph, right? But there's no, really, they have not obviously indicated why they're mentioning and they should spell it out, the Climate Action Sustainability Committee at that point. CAS is referenced as in the CC, but I suggest just adding a phrase this is the editor in me, that sentence read, instead of starting out the CAS committee, which is not previously identified, saying the Climate Action and Sustainability Committee, the Climate Action and Sustainability Committee dash, the originator of this letter dash, and then continue, is one of the committees comprised of the six elected, is one of the committees comprised of 6 elected officials. So it simply references that. So
Give me that, and I'll make that.
it's just a small thing, but I think it makes it look a little crisper and a little more professional. And then while we're on the letter, subject of the letter, I would also like to propose that we consider in the September meeting, so we put it on that agenda, that Patton Township essentially send a similar letter. Yes, we are included under COG, but this is commonly done. We discussed this at the meeting, that individual townships can also weigh in.
Yes, so we don't have to send this letter verbatim. We can send
We as a
our own
township.
letter.
Exactly.
And I put it on here so that if you wanted to do the letter of support, perhaps since Supervisor Whitman has been so involved in it, she could draft something and then I can send it to you. So we don't have to send this letter tomorrow.
No, but I think we're just agreeing that this is okay for COG to send.
No, that's
Oh.
going to happen at the general forum meeting. The general forum will agree on Monday. This was just if you wanted to send your own letter
Oh,
of
you know
support
what?
for community
Okay,
solar.
I got ahead of myself.
So I think that
My
would be
apologies.
great. No, I think
Okay.
that would be great for the board to do if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to help me draft that, that would
Exactly.
be
So we'd have to-
wonderful.
Oh, gosh, I completely misread the introduction of that. But if you could pass that on to Ron Cervello or somebody at.
I'll pass it on to Adam.
Can I chime in for that?
Very good.
That came up at our executive meeting yesterday. And it was voted on to the chair wanted not to get involved with that, but he was overruled.
Well, I'm not surprised by either bit of information.
But to say, we will be discussing, the letter to be sent out at COG.
At our
But for-
general
yeah,
forum meeting.
mhm.
General forum. Mhm.
And then for
Which is-
our municipalities individually, we can send out a letter of support.
Yes, that I knew, and that was going to, yeah, I just misread the
So
setup for that.
if you want, why don't we work on a letter and then we can send it to the rest of the board just to concur with?
Yeah.
And you can just approve sending that letter tonight so that once you've agreed on the language, we can send the letter out to the state.
Oh, great. Okay, so we don't need to add it onto the agenda. Great.
Yeah.
Does any of the board members have any objection to this letter being sent out? Okay, thank you. All right.
Great,
Betsy, is
thanks.
that it?
Yep.
Yeah, apologies for misreading.
No.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is the manager's report. Amy, you're up.
So just a couple of things to touch on. First, and I think this is probably very exciting to some members of this board, we took delivery on our first fully electric vehicle. We have a Chevy Equinox EV sitting out front, and we converted our one charging station into a municipal fleet vehicle charging station, so it lives in that charging spot. And then we got a meter put on the other charger, so now we're legal with the state of Pennsylvania, and I can start paying them their alternative fuels tax, which they've been yelling at us about, so that's good.
Good, because we
So-
should, is that which is which? So there's one at the end of the parking lot.
The white one at the end of the parking lot.
That's one that's now metered.
Yeah.
So I need to come in and see you so that when I charge.
So the one next to the white vehicle is metered. The white vehicle is our electric vehicle. It
Right.
lives in the space all the time.
Yeah, but if I wanted to use it for my car.
Yes, you can park
You'd have to use the one that's not,
the one that doesn't have the sign in front of it.
Oh, I get you.
you have to use the metered one.
Yes.
I have to use the metered one. right?
Yes.
But then I would have to pay for it.
No, you don't have to pay for it.
So the
We just
township
have to remit the alternative fuels tax because
Okay.
the state passed a bill about that.
The only thing we're metering it for is so we know how much the tax on the electricity. We are not going to charge anybody.
No, it's still
for-
free.
It's still free.
Okay. But at some point, should we be charging?
I don't know that we should because the infrastructure isn't great yet
Okay.
for electric vehicles, so I don't think that there's a need right now, but
And we we got that infrastructure free.
Free, yep, we got a
That's-
grant.
We got a grant for that.
Don't wonder who arranged
The
it.
only thing we're paying for is a small amount of electricity. It's
Right,
very
okay.
small every year.
Okay, but it's
It
also,
would be more of a hassle to charge people that are using it
Mm-hmm.
than we would get.
but it'll give you data in
Yeah.
real time.
Yeah.
So you'll know when that.
We'll know how many people are
rises.
using it.
Yeah, okay.
Elliot?
Super, thank you.
Isn't the alternate use fee $200 or something like that?
No, we have to pay based on the usage of the
No.
meter itself. We have to meter it.
No, I mean, the state's charging people.
That's for homeowners that have EV charging stations at their houses. We put a meter on because otherwise we had to estimate our usage and pay the tax based on the
But
usage.
what is the amount for homeowners?
I think it's $200.
Yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
Yeah, I think it's slightly different for us. So we're gonna put the 2008 Prius on the market. We're gonna sell that on Municipal Bid. If anybody wants a 2008 Prius, it's still a pretty good car. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on, last month we had talked about the stormwater basin in Toft Trees West, and we had done an agreement with the developer on that basin. That basin didn't do so well during the last hurricane, Tropical Storm Debbie. So we actually have a meeting on Friday to talk about some corrective action steps with the developer, the County Conservation District, and the geotechnical engineer for the developer to see where we can get. We have some concern. They've had to take out, and Michelle can speak more to this than I can, but they've had to take out part of the new bike path because it was undermined by a sinkhole from the basin. So we have some concerns up there. So we're going to stay on top of that. Michelle and Ken have been out consistently since the tropical storm happened, and we've been staying on top of it. And the developer's engineer has been communicating with us almost daily about what their plans are to try to fix it.
Great.
Elliot?
Don't we have to, we're probably going to have to watch that on an ongoing basis because they've had problems with the sinkholes ever since they started the project, right? And so it's unlikely they're just going to suddenly stop.
Yes, and from what I read the emails, they go out and look at everything, but from what the developer's engineer has said, it's not a traditional sinkhole, so that makes it a little more cumbersome to try to repair. The soil's very sandy there, and so they're trying a variety of different things. So they'll try next up there.
Michelle, do we have any photos on the sinkhole up there?
Oh, we certainly do. Ken and I take photos every day.
Is it possible I can get a copy of that?
Yeah, we can send those to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm also on the public safety, that's why I want to
Okay.
make sure.
Yeah, I can send those pictures out to everybody so y'all can see
Great.
what we're looking at.
Cool.
Yep. And then lastly, I just want to give a little shout out to our Public Works crew. They have been restoring shoulders out in the Timberton Estates development, and the Timberton folks have sent us some very nice emails and voicemails complimenting them on their work. So they've been doing an excellent job out there, and we're very fortunate to have them working on that. So with that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for our township manager on her report?
That's good.
Our
Oh,
Supervisor
Susan,
Whitman?
do you have questions? Or- Okay. So, yeah, the September 25th meeting, where a joint session with planning on attainable housing regulations.
Yep.
So I wanted to let you know that that's okay with me, but I just wanted to know about the bigger picture. Are we coordinating it with College Township?
So it's funny you should talk about that or bring that up. We were just discussing that earlier today. I was discussing that with someone. But College Township, we do have a copy of their ordinance. They've been working with the Center County Housing and Land Trust.
Yeah.
And Missy Schoonover is working with us as well.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
So, yeah, so ideally, again, this is part of a conversation I had earlier today, ideally, we would somewhat have similar regulations across all of us that are doing attainable housing. Ferguson's also working on their ordinance as well, so
Okay, great.
hopefully that's something we can get to.
Okay, great. I've just been in conversation with some of the people in college who are working on that,
Yep.
attainable housing, and they just are doing the deep dive, which is great.
Yep.
We might as well take advantage of it. Okay, great. Yeah, and I'm going to ask something about the invasive plants in the MS4 project area, because a little bit later at the meeting, when we're talking about committee reports, I wanted to report that the Center Region Planning Agency is thinking about looking into invasive species because it checks off one of the items in the climate action adaptation report. So I guess what I would want, Ken, would you have maps would Ken or Nicole have maps of where
Michelle probably can speak to the invasives out on Meeks
Yeah.
Lane.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the area that the MS4 project is in, yeah, we already went through and treated some invasive plants
Okay.
there.
What were they? Do you remember offhand? Just curious.
Most of it is like privet and
For sure.
uh,
Multifloral or?
some multiflora rose and privet, and not sure, some folks refer to it as like Russian olive or.
Oh, yeah, the restaurant, yeah, I know that. Okay. Yeah, it was just for my information, so, okay. So I'll refer to what the Center County Region Planning Association, whatever, what Mike Tucka's thinking of doing at a later time. And, okay. And this, okay, just, are the parks, the fall parks tour, are board members invited on that?
I think typically Susan does invite board members. I haven't
That's what
gotten
I
the
thought.
update. They met last night, so I haven't
Okay.
gotten the update on when they scheduled that for.
Okay. And I'm just, one other question about the payments for sorry, the acquisition, right-of-way acquisition for the shared bike path. And I guess there's a mention of a road, but we're not doing a road anymore.
No, we're actually taking over the old road right away, so that it will.
Okay, that's why the road,
Yep.
okay, gotcha.
It'll go away. It'll be extinguished with us.
That makes sense, okay. So just out of curiosity, how much do we pay for right-of-way?
It varies, that we get an appraisal done and then we work with the property owner to negotiate on the right of way.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's still under process, is that?
Actually, no, we signed the agreements and we paid the checks this week.
Okay.
To the property owners.
Yeah, what is it? Do you remember what the amount was? Just
For me
ballpark?
to say how much it was?
Yeah, go ahead.
$46,000 some odd dollars.
For all four of them? Okay, mostly just curiosity, so, yeah, great, and, because I know that property. Okay, thank you so much for that time.
Any other questions for Amy at this time?
Elliot has a question.
Elliot, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think I read this in the Township News, that the state is also going after invasive plants and is requiring native plants be put in along state roads wherever possible. But I forget the exact details and how that worked. It was in Township News.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I know that there are a lot of, at the state level, certainly there are approved plants and not approved. Like Crown Vetch is actually an approved plant for erosion control. And they found out, since they approved it back in the 30s, they found out that it's a little invasive, yada, 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 trying to get out. But there's another plant I was thinking of, Ken, it's the,
Bradford pear.
pardon?
Bradford pear.
Oh, it's not that. It's the plant that is found along waterways and there's a lot of it off Valley Vista Drive with the big white flowers that it stands about. Yeah, I'm just blanking on the name of it. Anyway, that doesn't matter. We'll keep our
Okay.
eyes on it.
Any other
Yeah,
questions
exciting. Thank you.
for Supervisor Magruder?
Unrelated to plants, but do you have information about I don't know what they approved, the trans safe city?
Oh, I do not, the sanctuary city.
Sanctuary.
I don't, but I can get that from Mr. Fontaine.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions for our supervisor? Seeing none, next on the agenda is the committee reports. All right, any of the board would like to report on their committee report? Supervisor Whitman, I think you had a question?
Yeah, so, I actually am working on the report, but I've been out of town until yesterday, so first time I sat down and worked on it. So the first item was, we've actually already talked about, and that was the letter that we're going to be drafting and sending to state senators concerning the community solar. So thank you for that. And the second one is the interest that Patton Township has in participating in the invasive plant control. This is a work in progress that Mike Tilka and I talked about at the last Climate Action Sustainability Committee meeting last Monday, right before I left to go out of town. So he and I will be meeting, and then I will bring any information back to the committee to find out what we're interested in doing. He's going to be doing that to all the other townships in the area. So it's not a top priority in the Climate Action Adaptation Plan, but if it's something that we're doing in certain areas or that we want to add to our priorities or the comprehensive improvement plan, then so be it, that we can check it off also with the CAP. Okay, thank you.
Any other supervisor would like to, supervisor? Oh my God, Elliot.
That guy. At the public safety meeting, was agreed to go ahead with the purchase of the 2 vehicles for codes. There was an objection from one of the other municipalities saying that we should study it more, and that person didn't like the particular brand of cars that were being picked. I said, so I asked when we're going to need those cars, and the codes people said, well, it'll be in a couple of months. So I said, how about if we just go ahead with this purchase so we don't hold up, so that people, when they come to work for the first time, they'll have vehicles, and then we can figure out over the next year what changes we might want to make to that whole process. And another thing that happened is there was an excellent video on, I think it's being used for recruitment of volunteer fire people. And it's just a beautiful video, and I hope they show it at the COG meeting, because it's totally unexpected, and it was a very good video. And third, I don't remember what the third thing was, but it's unimportant.
Well, Elliot, I really would like to thank you for sitting in for me on that committee. I appreciate that.
It was very interesting, and glad we moved forward on those cars.
Okay. Any other board member? I would like to say for the executive committee, yesterday we met. I will give Amy a written report. But on that, the executive board had a extensive discussion on the solar power agreement, in which there will be questions at the general forum, and it's going to be forwarded to the solar power group meeting on August the 28th. Just to let you know, and to our solicitor, there are questions coming. Second, there was a discussion on the modified personnel policy handbook, but it looks like most of the questions were answered. That also will be forwarded to the general forum. So one of the issues that's going to be presented at the general forum, I'm letting everybody know. If you're new to our boards, they're going to do a presentation on the Millbrook Marsh Nature Center Boardwalk. Those of us who have been sitting on the board know about it. We have discussed it, but this is just a presentation for new officials. So to bring you up to speed on what the project is all about. So for the rest of us who are veterans, there are no questions to be asked. So we're going to move forward on this, let the presentation move, so our other officials will be brought up to speed. And Amy, they're going to have a early presentation for the general forum. They want us there early, so if you can find out the early time. I do think it's 6 o'clock instead of 7.
Okay.
So the rest of the board can be there early.
Yep.
There's a slight training involved. Also, Sean, our fire director, will have the new fire truck available outside. So you can get an opportunity to see it and climb on for Sutan. And no hats. Elliot, we also discussed the vehicle to move forward, and it was unanimously voted on to move it forward.
Right.
Without any headaches or there were a question or two, but we chose to move forward on that. So thank you for that. As Public Safety Chair, I know we've been trying to get this pushed forward for a long time instead of holding it back, not knowing that it might be canceled by the company. So to be able to get this vehicle brought and move forward is a great accomplishment. So, seeing no other questions on the committee reports, next is other business. And if there's no other business, next is the adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for your patience and understanding. This meeting is now adjourned.